Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be back with another young Indian, part of the Voice of the Young series. Right now, we have with us Meghna Jalan. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Meghna.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mathur. First, thank you so much for creating this opportunity, a platform like Vidped, and for giving this honor to me to be a part of this journey. And I would like to begin by saying that I'm no authority on life or success. I continue to grow and evolve every day, drawing inspiration from those around me, including remarkable individuals like yourself, Dr. Mathur. So let me begin by saying that whatever I've achieved so far stems from three core principles. First would be my genuine interest in people, politics, and policy. Second is the unconditional support I have had from my loved ones. And third is hard work. It might be old fashioned, but it never goes out of fashion, I would say. So let me start with my story. Like, I spent most of my childhood in Vapi. It's a quaint industrial town in Gujarat before relocating to New Delhi for my high school. So I think my favorite moments from school were like lively classroom discussions. However, I definitely feel that exams and mathematical equations felt like my nemesis. I just did not do very well with these two things in school. But what I truly adored was like being on stage, debating competitions, delivering speeches. So these were like some areas where I would find joy. Like, I really loved expressing myself always. So I think politics somehow was like, always discussed by some members of my extended family. And I think their enthusiasm was so contagious that by the time I was in like seventh grade, I knew that I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to report and I wanted to do well. And I always wanted to surround myself with what's happening around the world, what's happening in my country. And, while that interest was growing, we had the whole Anna Hazare movement, the India against corruption. And that was the first time I think I took genuine interest. And, I was very young. I was not able to wrap my head around a lot of things which was happening, but I still wanted to know. I would always take out some time out of my classroom activities and like try to read about what is lokpal, what is it that should be done. So I think those were, I grew up like in a very interesting time that way. So that was in my favor, and that only kind of feeded to my curiosity. So luckily, like in class 10th, after my class 10th, my entire family moved to New Delhi. That's where my dad got a job. So it was a bittersweet transition, I would say, like leaving behind familiar faces. And I really loved Vapi. Leaving behind some members of my extended family was not like totally easy for me. But as they say that to reach somewhere, you have to leave something behind. So I think like coming to Delhi opened up like a lot of possibilities for me. Before, when I was in Vapi, it was like, okay, so what is it that I need to do after class 10? Like, what stream? So like science, commerce, and not a lot of schools even offered humanities. Like, back in the day, we would only call it arts, and people were not aware of the possibilities that one could have after choosing a subject like humanities. So even I was like, okay, let's take commerce because I don't want to do science, but commerce, I don't want to do maths either. So how about take like commerce without maths? But at the same time, like I also saw like my school had some amazing subjects which I had not heard of in like in humanities. So one of the subjects was sociology. So I was like, okay, this would be interesting. Although there's always that lingering thought that what would people think? Why humanities? Are you not a bright student? So, but I knew like to be a journalist and to be in the sector that I am in today, it's humanities that would have given me the right skill set. So, without like, I would not say without thinking much, there was a lot of thinking that went into it. I was like, okay, let's just take humanities. And I have to admit that it's the best decision I took. I studied sociology. It became one of my favorite subjects, had amazing teachers. In fact, like, interestingly, I would want to share how categorically I remember my very first day of school in Delhi. because we were all like in grade 11th, and we were all trying to figure out also a little bit that what do we want to do next. So there was this session, a seminar, where people had come to, acquaint us with study abroad program. So like I had come from a small town. I would hardly even hear of anybody like from my circle thinking about it or even going, wanting to go abroad. It felt like a very distant dream. But that was such an inspiring session. I was like so motivated that is it possible, like can I go, is it possible to go study abroad, so what are the chances, and what the line that stayed with me from the seminar, that you do not have to be financially very well off. Like if you're capable enough, that maybe there are opportunities for you also. I just went home, did all the research, and then following Saturday, I went to their center with my dad to learn about how should I approach that entire thing, and maybe if one day I can find myself studying in a foreign university. So, I mean, we returned from that entire session thinking that, okay, I mean, it's not something we can do immediately, but if I work hard, and if it's something I really want to focus on, then in future there is a possibility. So I decided that maybe if 11th and after class 12th, I should do my graduation from New Delhi. That is, if you get a very good college. It's not very easy to get into Delhi University. One of the reasons why I also wanted to go abroad was like, will I get good enough marks? Because I'm someone who's always been very scared of exams. While I know I'm a good student, but not very, very good with examinations. What if I do not score very well? Will I get into Delhi University? In hindsight, I do detest that behavior. I think it all depends on your skill set, and if you do very well in any institution, I'm sure that you will be rewarded in life. So yeah, I could score well enough, so I secured a seat for myself in Delhi University. I did sociology honors. I thought, yes, I want to be a journalist, but also want to do a master's program. So let's do journalism as a master's student, and let's study something else as a graduate student. So, like, I was all starry eyed when I entered the university. However, since I believe that this platform is for us to speak the truth, I'll have to admit that I was a bit disappointed because the classroom discussions were not as lively. I would not say Delhi University is not that great a place, of course, but I was little disappointed with my department. But I'm also somebody who does not like to rant too much about that. Okay, this is not right, that's wrong. Why are things not happening the way I imagined? Sometimes things do not go the way you want them to go. So I think I do see a silver lining, because that disappointment led to me going out and finding newer opportunities for myself. So I was like, but I am in Delhi. It's like the best place like one could be to have a career in like uh
Yeah.
public sector, like journalism. So what is it? Like I should definitely take full advantage of this opportunity. There are so many people like, in some remote area who might be aiming to come to the city. Like, if you want to be an actor, you want to go to Mumbai, that you will find opportunity. So I was in the right place. I was like, I cannot like sit at home and do nothing about it. So I started looking for internships. Like, that okay, I should go out of college. The world is your oyster. I should go out of college and see how and I can learn more. So the very first internship I had during my graduation was with NDTV, and I was so excited. It just like gave me a different kind of confidence when I was accepted, when my CV was accepted for the position. And also the thing is, I had no idea how to enter this field. I had no godfather in this field whatsoever. So it was kind of like, I have to learn everything, do everything all by myself. So I was very happy. I remember my first day at internship. Like people are also trying to tell you that, oh, just because you're here, do not think that you will walk out of this place as a journalist. There's a lot of room for learning. And of course, I had no high expectations in that regard. So initially, they would just give me, and as most of the interns were given, okay, just transcribe this and, translate this. Not very important tasks, of course, because you're there for a very short period. They can't trust you with like a very sensitive information. They don't know about your skill set. They don't have time to teach you. But I would always go to people. I would always try to network and ask for more work from them. Like, sometimes people would also like laugh a little that, oh, this is a rare sight, like somebody is really enthu over here and she wants to work a little more. But I think that was a good initiative because I did end up getting some field projects. They were not very big, but at the same time, I think they really helped me learn and grow. And I could walk out of that internship with some really, really valuable experience.
Mhm.
So, I could see that I've become more confident, and I started to interact with people from that field, and I could get more idea as to, okay, what's next, what I need to do next, and what my path forward can be from here. So, and I also wanted to do something more related to policy and politics because I was just getting myself acquainted with all these things that, okay, you need not study for UPSC or become an IS servant only to work in policy making. And, there are other avenues also. I also wanted to, college is the time when you should experiment, I feel. Yes, I always wanted to be a journalist that time, but I thought that I should have like diverse set of experience so that my understanding of things can be a little more comprehensive. So when you start thinking along those lines, somehow just uh, things automatically start falling into place. At least they did for me, I would say. At that very time I met someone called Shruti Kedia, who was working with Rajiv Gowda, a member of parliament from Rajya Sabha. And she looked at my enthusiasm and she said like, look, we are looking for interns in our office, would you like to work? And I just, of course, there's no way I would have said no. So that was my very first stint with policy. I jumped to that opportunity and I was like, yes, let's just do it. And that was so refreshing for me. You're learning about parliament and the legislative system of India while working at an MP's office. I mean, I think that's like the coolest thing I had experienced by that time. I still remember they were discussing the land acquisition bill, and sometimes it's when you're discussing politics and policies with layman, like it's always what the media shows you. But when I worked in that office, I realized there's so much more to it. That's like the nitty gritties, like the power an MP has. Sometimes people think, oh, they don't have any, like they have a lot of power, but the truth is like they're just mere representatives. And and when you work with someone as genuine as him, you realize that how concerned these people are, and they can be accessible to people. They are genuinely interested in helping the society. So, and how the parliament functions, all of that was so refreshing. So it kind of, I was like, no, maybe just because my vision was smaller so far, so, and I did not know much beyond journalism. So now that I'm introduced to this, I should do something in this field. It's very interesting. And I thought before that I was mostly concerned about, okay, after college my master's should be in journalism, and what is it that I need to do? But that asked me to like force me to take a break and like think about it, that maybe I should spend some more time on field researching, like doing something, working, and then go for masters. Like so that's how my ideas about my career and my life evolved. These experiences were so important. So I tried finding myself more opportunities. Like it wasn't very easy back then, I would say, but people I feel have always been very helpful to me. So just then in that year itself, I think in 2016, they started something called YLAC, Young Leaders for Active Citizenship. It was the first batch. Two people from Oxford and Harvard had come up with this program, and I was in the first batch where they would teach about policy making. It was like, and that time we did not have like all those MPP schools also in India. Like, now they are, of course, mushrooming in India also, I would say. But there was no formal education as such. So when I heard of that program, I just enrolled myself for that. And in that program, they had someone called Meghnad come in for a guest lecture, and he was working with Mr. Satpathy. Now, I would always go for a lot of lectures and everything when I was in like at IIC, IHC, like all those political events, policy events when I was in college. So I'd heard Mr. Satpathy at one of those events, and I was really, really inspired by what he said. And it was very engaging, and then I started reading more. And it so happened that the first speaker they invite for the workshop was Meghnad, and who was working with him. So I just went to him. I was like, I'm interested, and can I send you my CV? Would you have a vacancy anytime? And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? Just send it to me. And I was in college that time. I was only looking for internships. I did not think that I would get a full-time job this soon. And and I mean, there is also some kind of, you feel like you don't know much. Yeah, there was also some kind of lack of confidence, I would say, that time. And 5 months later, after that very interaction with Meghnad, I get a call, and he was like, listen, are you free sometime this week? Mr. Satpathy would want to meet you. So I was like, oh, okay, is that an interview? He said, no, just come. We'll have a chat maybe. So, and I used to be very anxious at that time, in the sense like, okay, what am I doing next? Because I know I don't want to go for my master's now. I want to spend some more time on field, but how do I do that? And it's not like sociology is not a field where you have college placements. Like, while I went to a university which would have college placements for college for commerce students, but not for people like me. So, I was like, okay, and what do I need to do? So, but anyway, with whatever little curiosity I had and whatever knowledge I had, I went with an open mind to meet Mr. Satpathy. And he said, you look interesting to me, and you're really curious. So maybe how about we do something like this? So still, considering you're still in college, and I met him in the month of March, and I was about to finish my graduation sometime in May or June. And he said, you work for a month with me. I'm not going to discuss the payment with you as of now. And if I like your work, I'll hire you full time. At that moment, I knew I had a job, because it's something I've been waiting for since such a long time. There's no way I could have, not utilized that opportunity well. So I took it up. I worked for him for a month, and then he was kind of happy with my work, and he asked me to join him full time. So again, all the tension about what will happen, will I get a job? And then there are people who all tell you that, oh, this is not MBA. Like, you're not, sociology is not MBA where people will hire you. You're not like, on what basis should people hire you? So it was just like such a, moment of calm in my life, I would say, that finally, like, I had a job and I'm doing what I wanted to do. The learning curve was so steep. I obviously, it was my first job, so I made mistakes also. But I made sure that I do not repeat my mistakes. And so it was a very, very good experience. I had such unlimited access to Parliament. When I would come to Delhi as a child for vacations, I would look at those important buildings from my car window and think that, will I ever get a chance to even visit there? And then there you are, uh, going visiting those important institutions, and they have become your workplace all of a sudden. So I was almost living a dream that time, I would say. So while all everything was going very smooth at his office for me, uh, after 15 months or so, Mr. Satpathy just gave me some kind of hint that he may want to retire from active politics. And that was also my cue to, like, start looking for another job. And at that time, I'd heard of APCO Worldwide little bit. I I was still not too sure what they were actually doing, but I thought maybe I can somehow, my skill set could be of some use over here. And just one interview and they hired me. So APCO is a worldwide organization. They're a global communications and consultancy firm. I would say it was my first very formal job. Like, like you had an HR in place, you needed to know some technical skills also. So it was my first experience of how a corporate work organization works. And like, so I had a very good time at APCO as well. And I actually saw how transferable, what is the meaning of transferable skills. I actually got to live that. So while all my colleagues would call me whenever they had any doubt regarding government politics, policy, I would say, and legislative affairs, and they'll be like, where's Meghna, like, let's just call her. So I was very happy that I could be of some use to them. At the same time, there was so much I could learn from them. I knew basics of Word and Excel back then. And then I just learned so much on the job. It was a beautiful experience. I helped a lot of international clients navigate the Indian policy landscape. So I how I like to describe my journey from like Mr. Satpathy's office to APCO is, when I was in his office, I would read the Hindu. But when I joined APCO, I would read the Hindu and the Financial Express. So it was like there's something in addition. So that's how you grow and learn. So uh, it was a very, very good opportunity, I feel. And 3 years I got three promotions. People were really rewarded well. So after having like such a good run, I felt that I should not get complacent. I could still think of that day where I took my dad all the way to learn about study abroad. And like, I definitely always wanted to do a master's. I was like, no, I have to put my papers down and I need to start applying for my master's and in public policy this time, since I knew that I don't want to be a journalist. It was established. And so I applied to a few schools. I kind of always knew it has to be Europe over US, because I really like the history of Europe. It can give you a lot of opportunities. It's not as expensive. And that was very important for me because I wanted to fund my education by myself. And also, you can have a lot of travel opportunities when you go to Europe vis-a-vis US. So I'm very glad that Hertie accepted the my application. And it was in such a turning point, because after some work experience, I was little more confident in life. I knew how to network with people. I think networking definitely became one of my strengths. And I was doing same things at Hertie also, but this time I was doing it for myself. Earlier, it was always for APCO, like, how to win more clients, how can I be better at my job. But this time it was how I can learn from those individuals. And, it was me building my own network, trying to have a little bit of like a brand, if I would say. So that was a very interesting opportunity. And I also, got to invite a lot of speakers because of my networking. Like from my network, I could invite a lot of speakers at Hertie for lectures, for addresses. And so I also gained a lot of confidence in organizing events at university all by myself. So these things really impacts your learning and personality. So, they only enriched my entire experience at Hertie. So, what Hertie also has is something called the professional year. That is, you study for a year and then you take 1 year break in between and then come back for your second year. Now, it is something that Hertie encourages all its students to take. It's a very good opportunity for someone who wants to discover like a new field or wants to work abroad for like just some time. And it's not like you apply for the professional year and you can work as a salesperson at a retail shop. They're very particular about it. So I definitely wanted that for, of course, all the reasons I stated. And I also thought that it would help me finance my second year a little better because I had already spent most of my savings on first year of education. I had a working student job, but still, like second year was a little bit of an issue back then. So I was lucky enough that I got two offers, and this time I was like, okay, I have some experience with the media organization, of course, with the corporate, and then with an MP office. I definitely want to explore the development sector also, so that my second year can be better. I can choose subjects accordingly, and I can have some of those traits also. So I got two offers. One was from Good Vision Germany. They make and sell affordable eyewear, and second was from the Akshay Patra Foundation in India. So I did 6 months of internship, I would say. It was a full-time role with both the organizations. I also returned to India for some time to work with the Akshay Patra Foundation, and it's been such a rewarding experience. I think when you work for a not-for-profit organization, it is beyond the paycheck. Like just the work they do, you get to know there are people who are really concerned about the society. Like for example, Akshay Patra Foundation feeding 2 million, more than 2 million students every day in India. It's remarkable. Till date, wherever I go, and when I say I work with Akshay Patra, abroad especially, it kind of like they want to know more, and they are always astonished by the kind of impact it has, such organizations create. So I think it's very much a part of my introduction now. I'm very happy that I got to have the experience I had. So anyway, like then it was time for me to return uh, for my second year of masters at Hertie, and I was ready to take on some more challenges, like newer this time. Like when you go to Hertie, they're part of so many different uh, 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 programs. Like there is Civica, there are also GPPN, where like all the top 10 policy schools come together and they organize events for students so that they can have a different experience altogether. So this time I was very sure that I have to participate in Global Public Policy Network. So how it works is like uh, it happens in one of the top policy school every year. That time it was in Paris, and you send a proposal where you try to solve a policy issue. And if you're selected, you get a chance to present a proposal, and you have policy students from top 10 policy schools representing their schools there, and you get to meet the deans from all the policy schools. So it's a very interactive session, I would say. So anyway, I submitted my proposal along with two of my friends at Hertie, and our proposal was accepted. And Hertie also groomed us a lot in terms of how we should present it, what can be some of the shortcomings, so there were such experiences at Hertie for me, and I always knew that it has to be beyond classroom for me because that's never just enough for me, whether in Delhi University or whether when I was in school. And so Hertie was no different. So I had such experiences, and with that, I think, and some like very interesting subjects, I graduated in June 2024. That is very recent. And I am currently in Canada. I'm working with a member of parliament here, and I'm just very glad that I have this opportunity. So what brings me to Canada is like I also got married in 2023, and in January 2023 and July 2023, my husband moved to Canada. He's currently practicing as a radiation oncologist here. So I knew that I had to move to Canada at some point. However, the original dream was always to return to India and serve the country, but maybe destiny, sorry, had something else in store for me. So I'm currently working with a member of parliament, and which uh, goes on to say that I had such an amazing experience working with an MP there, and there's so much I learned, there's so much I could contribute in other jobs that I had in life after that because of that one job. So I thought that this would be the best start for me in Canada also. And and yeah, it did not come very easy, this one. I had to like this came after 33 job applications and two rejections. So within 2 months. So sometimes there were days where I used to be very upset that okay, it's not falling into place. Maybe I'm not good enough. You tend to question yourself, your abilities, like, oh, you have a foreign degree yet, you don't have a job yet. Like, what's wrong with me? Am I doing everything right? But I'm glad that currently I have a job here, and I'm looking forward to contributing more to his office. And it's so interesting to know, to spot the similarities in the way the Indian legislation functions, and at the same time, so many differences also. So I keep comparing that every day, and I keep learning as I compare. So interesting job, I would say. So yeah, I mean, that's all from my side. What I have learned in this very short span is that never leave, always be hopeful, never get too upset just because something is not working out. I'm sure there's right time for everything. And do not underestimate the power of networking. That's what has worked in my favor, at least. And never self-reject, for sure. So, yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Mathur.
Well, Meghna, it's a very, very powerful and interesting story. Long travel, long, from sociology in Delhi to political work in Canada is quite a journey. Uh, what has been the best part of it for you?
I have cherished every single day, like, one day at a time. What's been the best part? Indira Nui talks about something called hip pocket skill. That no matter where you go, you should have that one skill that distinguishes you from everybody. Like when you're in that organization, and people are like, okay, I need to get this thing done, so who would be the right person? And they should be able to think of you. Like you should have that one skill which is so extraordinary. Like, you're able to do that better than others. So I think for me, it's been that, that skill that I had from my first job, that is the knowledge of Indian legislation and networking, I would say. So that learning has been the best part, according to me. So, uh,
Right,
so
wonderful. Okay,
yeah,
anything else you want to add here? I mean, you've told us a fascinating story. As I say, it speaks for itself. What can I say? It speaks for itself. What you have done, what you have achieved, and that Hertie is a very top place to get into, and I'm sure you're going to do well. So leave that aside. Tell us any last words that you want to share.
just keep learning and growing. I consider myself as a lifelong student.
Mm,
So the learning never stops, and especially in today's age and time.
yeah.
So learning never stops, I believe. And do not think that, you're good only if you get into a particular university, or you're a doctor or an engineer. You're beyond that. Everybody's so different. Like, you're beyond your university, and it's a very skill-based market. If you're good at something, you want to nurture that skill, you can do it anyhow. Like you have internet today at your disposal. Just learn and grow.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Meghna. It's very good to have you here. Let's say goodbye here. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Don't go offline. I want to talk to you. So
Sure.
let's end the recording here. Bye, everybody.